Beautiful people, welcome back to another episode of Who Can Relate. If you are new here, my name is Justin Davis, aka JD, and this show is all about people discovering their higher self through adversity, vulnerability with a big underline under that word, and self-love. And if you're not new here and you're a regular, thank you. I see you, I appreciate you. Now, today's episode, and I am so hyped for this one. I really think this is probably going to be the best one of season 2 so far. I know it's a lot of hype, but I promise it's going to deliver. So today's guest is, I got 3 fellow kings on the show, courtesy and brought to you by the Nice and Neat podcast. And I know a lot of you have been asking to have them on, so I just couldn't wait to really get into this one. And I got some amazing topics that I'll go over here in a second. So the Nice and Neat podcast, a little bit about them. They are the quintessential podcast about the 360 development of men. They talk about all things men in their lives, what they're going through, past, present, future, men in relationships, and that mindset and what's going on in our head when we're in it, and so on and so forth. They do an amazing job over there. So it's brought to you by Duke, Omar and Jalon. Again, 3 fellow kings who are just really trying to get this message out there to the people who need and want it. Now, today's topics are pretty good. Like to hear them? Here you go. First and foremost, how many of you have heard oh no, it's the right girl, just the wrong time from men? We talk about that. Having the wrong people in your life and how that can affect you when it comes to unlearning all that you did and not having to make the necessary changes. When life forced each one of us to unlearn something, and specifically unlearn something in a relationship. We talk about the male ego in a relationship, finances in relationships, aka the financial intimacy, which Omar put me on game to. And last but not least, I'm saving the best for last, and we're going to start the episode with this topic, which is, and I got this from one of my friends who got it from I think a fellow podcaster. And this woman states, men don't marry the woman they love or love the most. They marry the woman who's around when they're ready to marry. The fellows agree and disagree. You're going to find out what our take is on that. And it's definitely not going to disappoint. It's a good one. So let's get into the quote of the day. And this quote of the day is brought to you by Omar, as he describes it in the episode. It's hard for the ego to live in a space where love is. I'll say it again for the people in the back. It's hard for the ego to live in a space where love is. I can relate to that. One thing I've recently unpacked in therapy is the one place where your ego is not needed, it is not necessary. In fact, it will do only harm, no good, is in your romantic relationships. Now, it's hard for us men to really set aside the ego on certain things, right? Because the ego, for the most part, got us to where we are as far as the accolades go, or a lot of our success. So it's tough for us. This transition is really hard. I think women don't really understand it. It's just like hard to explain. But the good thing is all 4 of us really dissect what the ego is to us, how we've been able to manage through it, and how we've been able to check it when necessary. So again, I appreciate O for that quote. Last but not least, the intention of this episode. You know, this one's pretty personal for me. Today's intention is going to be for the men of the Who Can Relate community, and also the women, but let me start with the guys first for a second. This one is for the guy who really wants the direction right now in their life and how to be the best version of themselves. I want to talk to them specifically about what we did and how we failed as the 4 of us go over in our lives, and hopefully you don't have to make the same mistake that we did. And also, again, back to that ego. That's, right now we're speaking mainly to you guys. Like, I know you guys can relate to this, and we're really going to help you be able to guide through and navigate through how to check, how to change, how to put it in a certain place, etc. We also go over things that we weren't really taught when we were younger. And this is something that we had to learn on our own, unfortunately. There weren't podcasts, there weren't YouTube channels, there weren't any of this stuff talking about this particular heavy, deep, intimate conversation like we do today. So I'm really excited to bring you guys this beautiful, organic conversation between 4 men who have been there, done that, and we're still learning along the way, but we're going to give you some gems as well. Now, for women, trust me, you're also really going to want to listen to this one, because I think this will clarify a lot for you. A lot of times for men, the easiest emotion to show is anger, right? It's hard for us to articulate our feelings. It's hard for us to let you in. It's hard for us to ask for help, right? This episode does all of that. It unmasks a lot. It's going to let you in on what we talk about and what we go through in a way that I think maybe you haven't heard before. And I think it's really going to be helpful for you. So whether you're single, you're in a relationship, this is also for you, ladies. So make sure you pay attention. Okay. I'm going to make sure all the show notes have all the guys' Instagram handles, the podcast, all the ways to support and show love. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review and a rating. I'd love to hear from you on that side. And if you're on YouTube watching, please like, subscribe, share, and comment so I know how you guys feel about this episode. All right. Without further ado, please welcome the Nice and Neat podcast to Who Can Relate. Duke,
Yo,
Jalon, Omar,
What's the deal?
a.k.a. the Nice and Neat.
yes, sir.
Nice and Neat podcast. Appreciate y'all for coming through.
Thanks, man.
man,
Thank you
appreciate
for
you
having
Thanks
me.
for making the
appreciate
time.
it. Appreciate it, bro.
It's an honor. It's a pleasure. I know a lot of people are going to be clickbaiting this for a good reason, and we're gonna deliver. Off top, I want to ask you guys a question.
We getting straight into it, huh?
Yeah, straight into it.
Okay.
Straight into it.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson. 60
Okay.
episodes in, people are like, "Can you get to the point?"
Okay.
60 in?
60
Hey,
in.
good for you, man.
I appreciate it. Thank
for
you.
you, bro.
Appreciate it. Okay, so the question is, this is from a some article, and some girl went viral with it, and the statement is, men don't marry the woman they love or loved the most. They marry the woman who's around when they're ready to marry. I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back. Men don't marry the woman they love or loved the most. They marry the woman who's around when they're ready to marry. Agree, disagree, any follow-up?
I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I kind of disagree because sometimes you fall in love with a girl and then decide to get married. It's like I didn't make my decision on wanting to marry or wanting to love my girl based on when I was ready to get married.
Right.
I already loved the woman,
Right.
and then decided to get married.
The next steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then took the next step. So
Okay.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Okay. And by the way, for the record, so, you're engaged?
I'm engaged. Excuse me. Yeah,
No,
not
congrats.
married. Yeah, thank you.
Jalon,
In a relationship?
in a relationship?
In a relationship.
Duke, in a relationship? Married. Okay. Jalon, what you got?
Man, you know what? I kind of disagree as well.
Okay.
I will understand where the statement may come from as maybe a man that's trying to really figure out who he is, maybe along that journey. That may be something that might have been true.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take away from that person's experience, but
And this is a woman, by the way.
yeah,
It's a woman's statement.
I don't want to take away from her experience because she may have been either the woman that ended up with the ring or the one
not.
that didn't, you know?
Right,
So I don't want to take away from her experience, but I know me personally, I couldn't even imagine marrying a person who I loved less than someone who
Sure,
I dealt
right,
with before.
right.
I just couldn't imagine it. Like, even if you had a relationship that was awesome and thriving and it just made you a better person, now you have the blueprint on how you need to feel.
Right.
And I trust people's judgment well enough to, once you have that blueprint, they're going to exceed those expectations. You know, I think we've all been in relationships before where you be like, man, this is really good here. Like, I really like it here. And then you break up with that person and you're in your new relationship or your current relationship and you just say, like, I couldn't imagine having anything less than this right here. So I couldn't say that.
Same, man. Same. Honestly, I've never even heard the quote, to be honest with you. All right.
Okay.
It's not something I've heard, but I feel the same way as as my partners over here, man. I feel like I was always under the impression that men are gonna wait it out until they find the one they love. And I feel like it's kind of even today when things are so advanced and we've made so much improvement in society as far as the dynamic between men and women go, I still think that reigns true. You know what I mean? Ultimately, I think men are gonna hold off on the decision to marry somebody unless they think it's absolutely this is absolutely the person, right? Because you gotta think about how we grow up, man. A lot of people say, man, wait, right? A lot of people say wait,
or don't do it.
Or don't do it, right? So we're already in a defense mode.
Right.
You know what I mean? So a lot of us kind of go into it thinking like this person has to be the person for me, right? So I find it hard. Now, once you get in a relationship, and there are situations where you probably get married and you're like, okay, I made the wrong decision. But I think going into it, you never look at it like you're settling. Right? I don't think so.
Hey, so this girl is basically saying a man finds himself ready to get married, and then I'm going back to find the girl that I was in love with 2 relationships ago. Because I loved her the most.
Or is she saying,
he blew
I'm
it.
gonna marry somebody now, but I wish I could have been with that person, like the one that got away.
So I kind of took it like Jalon. It's like the one that got away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? But here I am, 30-something or 40-something. I'm not trying to be in the streets for the rest of my life.
This girl's
She'll
good
do.
enough for
She'll
family.
do.
Yeah.
Settle.
Right? I'll settle. Right? She won't know, but I know deep
She's
down.
a good woman.
She's a good woman.
She's a good woman.
She's good enough.
She's good enough.
She's not the right one. She's a good
Right,
one.
she's good enough. Yeah, but I think to your point,
Shameless
Duke,
plug.
it's I think it's because in our society as men, right? I've often heard don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
From jump, and I'm from the Midwest where they settle down real early. It's like the South, right? But I've still been told, "Hey, bro, don't." And it's from men, right?
Yeah.
Why? Are you sure? You know what I mean? Like you don't have to type of thing. You know, it's a major discourage. So I think from the male perspective, and I'll get to where she was coming from. I kind of agree with this.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, and I'm glad that someone does, because otherwise we'd just be kumbaya right now. But yeah, I mean, look, men don't marry the woman they love or love the most. They marry the woman who's around when they're ready. So can we all agree that timing is everything?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Can we all agree, or maybe not, but have you had one who maybe was the right girl, wrong time?
All the time. I feel like that's in all of our history.
Okay.
Right girl, wrong time.
Right girl,
time.
wrong time.
Yeah, but here's the
It
thing.
always be the
though.
wrong time. That's why you ain't win none of them.
That time is because the wrong time might have been,
The time don't look so bad right now.
right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
Right.
So is it really the wrong time? So you understand? Because like you would only know, man, I really would have married that girl, but it was the wrong time. And if in the future you're with somebody that you really don't want to be with, right? Then that time you win is really like the wrong person, right time. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
But if you just passed up a girl and it was the wrong time, and then you met another girl and you're like, yo, this girl better.
Yeah.
I think that's how.
Well, I think timing though for me at least personally is as a man, right? We're conditioned to provide financially. We're conditioned to provide, to protect, right?
Yes.
So if I don't have my money right, I'm not ready to settle down.
Yep.
Type of thing.
Yep.
That's a
Correct.
fact.
So that's what I mean with the timing of it all.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So is it? And I love my wife. I'm just like, for the record, like I'm not saying she'll do, I'll settle. It's nothing to do with that. But I could see a lot of men, if they were being honest, agree with this statement. And to me, it just comes down to timing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of men will sit there and be like, man, that's the one that got away, or I should have, or she's always the standard. She's always the one I'm comparing to, right? The Phantom X is actually a term that they use. So the timing of it all is kind of like
Fem X.
Phantom X.
Phantom X.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's Phantom X?
Phantom X is I guess the one that's always on a pedestal, the one you're always comparing to.
the prototype kind of.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
And until she's either replaced or never replaced, right? So, anyways, but the timing thing, I think it's a huge factor. I think at the end of the day, it's like whether it's not even so much an age thing. I think it's where you are in your life, emotional maturity, financial stability, right? And then you having enough life experiences to be like, and we're talking monogamy, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I've had enough experiences where I'm ready to settle down, and I think it's more timing than the woman.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you speak on that financial perspective, or
Right.
speaking from that financial perspective, like it's really all about timing, because a man's not going to walk into a relationship knowing he can't provide and take care of.
Well, he
the woman.
shouldn't at least.
Or he shouldn't.
They do, but
A
he
real,
shouldn't.
I mean, but even then, it's not even going to last.
Right.
Because you could only put up the front for so long.
Exactly. Mhm.
Especially if you live in cities like major cities like LA,
Right,
New York,
right.
all these other places around.
Right.
All these other places. It's really Miami and Chicago, right? But
I mean, everywhere getting a little expensive now.
Yeah,
that's true.
Toronto.
But what I'm saying
Yeah,
I'm saying is you can't keep up that front for too long. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
So when you say from that perspective, I would agree too. You know what I'm saying? Even though I did say that I disagree.
Yeah, no, it's
but,
all good.
Like speaking from that perspective, I could understand why guys will, I guess, and I hate to say, I don't even want to say the word
We
settle.
were just talking about settling.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah, for a lack of better words right now, settle.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say, Jalon? You say something?
I think when it comes to for sure, the timing on the financial piece is a thing, definitely. I don't think no man is gonna feel comfortable with the woman that he really wants if he's not where he want to be financially, because it's just a certain it's a certain lifestyle that you, whether she needs it, it's a certain lifestyle you want to provide for her. So.
And if you want a family, that too, right?
And if you
it's
want
gotta
a
be
family,
sustainable.
for sure. And so I definitely understand it on that piece. Well, in that case, I'm gonna ask y'all then. So if that's the case, would you double back? If you was like, yo, I'm good now, and that is who I wanted, but I wasn't able to provide for her the way I wanted to.
Where you at, dude?
Would you double back?
You gotta try to double back.
You gotta try.
Where you at, dude?
You gotta try.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, if you single, if you don't got nobody, you finally in a good spot,
yo,
man.
I guess like, because when you say settle, it's like I can't really get what I want.
Okay,
You know?
okay. So let's take settle off. Let's
You feel me?
That's what I'm saying. That word is
Let's say I
You
don't know,
end up with the woman that you wasn't like the person of your dreams type.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the perfect girl, but there's no such thing. But
Right.
but you know what I'm saying? Like we have a whole list, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a financial list, a physical list, an
got a
emotional,
list.
intelligent list.
Let's
We got-
call it the one.
Okay, the one, right?
Let's call it the one.
So, and as J. Cole says, no one's perfect, but you're perfect for me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And the right time works as well. You know what I'm saying? He forgot that part of the line because I'm telling you, like, in my case scenario, I've had a Phantom X where it was probably the right girl, just the wrong time. I was too young. I was too immature. I was too mentally immature. I wasn't emotionally available. I wasn't vulnerable, so on and so forth. I couldn't provide financially.
Yeah.
Right? Here I am now, 35 years old. I met my wife at 30. Things were way different. Way different. So luckily and thankfully, in come my wife with the right timing. Here we go. Perfect mix. But without one or the other, if it was the wrong girl at the right time, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I work way too hard to just throw this shit away.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And if it's the right girl, wrong time, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be long term.
Yep.
She won't put up with that. So all that to say, how y'all feeling? Right? Because look,
feel
there's levels to it, right?
I feel like I got the right girl at the right time. That's how I
Okay.
feel.
Okay.
Yeah, and back to, again, it's such a layered.
It is.
It's such a
And
layered
let's go
thing.
through it all. Yeah.
Back to what Duke was saying. At that time, it might have felt like it was the right time to you.
It always does.
It always-
It
yeah,
always
exactly,
does in the
exactly.
moment.
At some point in
Exactly.
time, like making $42,000 a year was a lot.
It was
to
great.
You.
You were
Yeah.
like, I'm doing
And you're
well.
like, I'm good. So I
Yep.
could move forward how I need to move forward.
right,
and
right.
now you're just like, yo, I don't know. If I was that guy,
I wouldn't survive. I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
make
have
it.
survived. Let's say you would have got married then, you would have had a kid, you would have been stuck in that hamster wheel, and you would have been like, I made the wrong decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand the timing, but I think even as you get older, when you get older, I think when you're doing things the right way, no matter what, you get more knowledge, you get more wisdom,
Right,
you get
right,
more
right.
understanding, not just about the world, but yourself and what
Yeah.
you require and what you need. So if anybody is like marrying to settle, I don't know what they're doing that for. I couldn't even really explain that.
I mean, it could be pressure, right? It could be
Yeah.
a religion
A lot of
pressure.
external
Well, also,
external
like-
forces.
Yeah,
that
exactly,
play into
exactly.
that.
Kinda, it's unfair to say, but like, you know, as a man, the older you get, the more successful you become, the more sure of yourself you become. You can kind of dictate, you know, the type of person that you want to be with. You know what I mean?
right,
It may
right.
not be the person that the one in the past, but whoever you end up with might be better. You know
Well,
what I mean? I feel like you can dictate that. Depending on your circumstance, right? The hope is that you're going to be successful, and the timing is going to be right. And if the timing's right and your mind's right, then it's just like I can have the type of relationship that I want.
So when you're ready,
Yeah.
right? This is back to that. So I guess let's also flip it like this, because I'm sure there's a lot of women listening or watching. Like, well, why can't you get ready? Right? I'm here. Why can't you take care of what you have to financially? Why can't you take care of what you have to emotionally, right? To make yourself available to me. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I think at least for me, I was like thinking this magic switch was going to turn on as to like my becoming a man, so to speak, right? The whole process of it. And it didn't. I had to learn the hard way, and a lot of burned bridges along the way, a lot of broken hearts along the way, trial and error. But at the end of the day, that's my story. But I think a lot of men have to. There's a saying you have to go through it to grow through it.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like when you're young, it's kind of hard to do both.
Right.
It's hard to take care of yourself and then tend to a
Yeah.
woman. You know what I'm saying? That comes with maturity too.
Yeah.
Like being able to like have the time to work on myself and then be able to balance my time to pour into the relationship too. But it's very hard for a lot of young men to be like, yo, I'm gonna grind and work on myself and then be fully committed into this relationship.
Yeah.
You know, something's gonna have to suffer.
Yeah.
You know
Or the financial stability.
or the financial stability.
Yeah.
And a real man is not gonna let that happen, you know, so the relationship is gonna suffer.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I think just experience. Less than, I guess,
The timing.
the timing. It's the experience too. 'Cause if
Okay.
you don't have the experience and
Right.
the know with all like
Right.
to put it together, you know, it's kind of
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Good.
You gotta go through the process, you
Yeah.
know, and you know, it's easy to say, "Oh man, well just get ready. I'm ready. You're ready." I mean, why don't you just get ready? Why don't you just go through it? But you know, it's not that simple, man. Real life has to happen. You have to go through certain experiences, and go through the process, and that's like something that doesn't happen overnight. You know, like the maturity level comes from real conversations with yourself, with your friends. You know, going through different types of emotions, learning how to manage emotions, and sad to say it, but even going through different relationships. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Multiple women, different women will teach you different things.
You're gonna find out what you don't want.
And a lot of times, you know, if you're not really experienced dealing with women, I don't think any woman's going to be happy with what you're presenting because you haven't gone through anything, you know, so you don't know how to manage different emotions. You don't know how to manage anger and, you know, and the communication and things like that. And those things are important.
That's a lot of pressure on the woman too, who's dealing with a man like that, right? Now she's got to be the know-it-all. She's got to be the one who's the source, so to speak. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, see, and this is not like a biblical thing, but like I think that's why the equally yoked thing is so important. If you're a man who haven't dealt with a lot of women, you can't get a woman who's had a lot of experiences. It just it
Won't work.
It just won't work because mentally you guys
Yeah.
you guys won't be balanced,
Right.
and a lot of things will come up to where she's like, why don't you understand that? He's like, I've never experienced
She's more
that.
advanced.
Yeah.
She's just more advanced.
Yeah.
You know, and a woman doesn't really like bring a guy along. That's not what she wants, you know? So like that aspect of it is tough. But I think a man who doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience and a woman that doesn't have a lot of experience, they can get together and learn from each other.
Right.
Definitely. So like when we're talking about that, not being like a one-sided, but if they both don't know much, like it could definitely still work.
Yeah. You say something? Oh,
No.
You good?
I'm good. Yeah.
So let's
I'm good. I'm sitting over here relaxed. I'm chilling.
so let's talk about that process though, right? Of becoming a man and what it looked like for each of us growing up, young black men, right? We just had a whole conversation off camera about culture, which has a lot to do with it, right? Actually, another question too. I know Duke, you grew up with your father
And my mom. Yeah.
and your mom,
Yeah, I have-
Jalon. Oh, did you-
Great family.
Great family.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, so
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah, it's
I'm the black sheep right now. That's all good.
We've actually talked about this.
Okay.
It's very unique for three black guys.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
To grow up with both of their
Yeah.
families, both of their parents in the household.
Yeah.
Right. I think
Yeah.
that's why a lot of our, a lot of our conversations kind of have, a equal foundation.
Yeah. Well, you have a common reference point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a very common reference point, which I hate that I'm shocked, but I'm shocked.
Yeah.
And that's
Nah,
amazing.
yeah.
I have a whole different. I can't relate to y'all. You know what I mean?
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. But with all that being said, okay, so let's roll with that. So how much of your two-parent household had a lot to do with you growing up as a man? How much of your life experiences, right, that you had growing up as a man? Because for you to be a fiance, and for Duke and for Jalon, you guys to be in a serious relationship, right? What did it take to get to this point?
Honestly, so I grew up in a two-parent household. My parents did get a divorce.
Okay.
And then I got a bonus parent.
Yeah.
I got a stepdad.
How old were you when they got?
I was 7 when they got
Oh,
divorced.
you were young. Okay.
So I was young.
Yeah.
So I went and moved with my mom, and she got remarried. I had a stepdad, and my stepdad honestly was like huge in just showing me how to physically communicate in a relationship. Just like while my mom was cooking, and maybe come pat her on the butt. Hug her from behind.
Right,
Give her.
right.
I didn't see that with my parents, but I seen that with my mom and my stepdad. So, and then just like chopping wood in the backyard. Like
Yeah.
that was the thing. He was a real like manly man.
Yeah.
My father, he's a more of a spiritual guy. So like I got a lot of my spirituality from him. My stepdad was a manly man. So I got a lot from him. I learned how to like deal with women through him and see what that looks like and be able to communicate without actually having to verbally communicate.
Right.
But like how important body language was like when you was with your partner and
Right.
making them feel special. He was really good at that. So I learned a lot from the men that were in my life. And then also, you know, if they're good men, they're typically going to be around good men as well. So I was just always around good men. I never lacked in that area. That's why I'm around some good men now, including yourself.
Yeah, appreciate
So, you know,
that.
I never really lacked in that area. But having a 2-parent household, and then also with my mom, you know, just showing me what it's like to be a woman, just being able to see her. And my family is a very I'll say traditional. My mom was a stay-at-home. She cooked. I mean, she also had like opportunities to do her jobs whenever she wanted to. She was a beautician and, you know, doing things like that. So I got to see what it was like to be a man. I got to see what it was like to be a woman.
Best of both worlds.
And gender roles didn't cross much. I think that's something now that we see a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, it overlap a little bit more. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That was just something that I growing up, it was really interesting to see. It was like this is a man's space and this is a woman's space. It was real clear for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for me, growing, the benefit in having 2 parents at home, and one thing I noticed between like a lot of friends that I grew up with, even friends that I knew or I met in college, was just like the balance that I was able to receive from growing up, right? Like all the things that Jalon said, but even more so like learning how to be responsible from my dad, learning how to be disciplined, like watching a man get up 5:30 every day, 4:30 every day, driving, commuting. This 9 to 5, you know, he's commuting to work.
Yeah.
This entrepreneurship, this is a whole new way of life. You know, he's getting up, he's driving an hour to work, you know, to beat traffic and then driving an hour after, working overtime, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever he can to put food on the table, right? And then the little bit of compassion and empathy that I have comes from my mother, you know, like without her, I don't even know how to connect and listen and even care about other people's feelings because I don't learn those things from my dad.
Yeah.
You know, like I could only imagine the kind of man that I would be today if I grew up in a single parent home. If I grew up just with my dad. Now don't get me wrong, he would have done exactly what he did. Instilled some great values in me, right? But there are certain levels where I wouldn't be able to connect on a human level with other people, more so women, you know? So I think I'm so blessed and great. We're all blessed and grateful. Excuse me. The 3 of us are blessed and grateful to grow up in that type of household,
100%.
you know? And those are the things that I took from it. You know, the biggest thing was just the balance, right? Just being able to learn how to be a manly man, protect, provide, and then also how to love and care, you know? So that was it for me.
Yeah, so for me, I think that sometimes it's a mystery to me how I grew up the way I grew up, right? I had a dad, I had a mom, but I never really saw my dad loving on my mom like that, you know? So like my loving nature, my compassionate nature, it definitely did come from my dad, you know? But as far as militancy and, you know, being able to be a man and take charge and be accountable, those things definitely came from my dad, right? My dad taught me authority, right? And so I didn't have growing up, I didn't get in trouble a lot with teachers and people like that, right? Coaches maybe, but that's just athlete stuff, you know? But I never had an issue with authority. You know, I always respected authority, and it helped me stay out of a lot of trouble, you know? And I felt like O said, just seeing his dad get up and grind, man, you know, your dad gonna teach you a lot of accountability, you know, and he's going to instill into you that, hey, you don't have the luxury to be handsome. You know? You don't have the luxury to, you know, just look good. You don't have that. You know what I mean? Because the world is not forgiving for people for men that, you know, don't work hard and just rely on their looks and things like that. It don't work for us like that, you know? So, and not to mention he was super strict. My dad was strict. Coming from Nigeria, had all these traditional values that they implemented on me and my brother. So it was super militant in my household, right? And then you couple that with sports. I grew up very disciplined, very just afraid of just like breaking the rules because just my upbringing, you know?
Right.
And my mom, I think I credit my mom a lot to me being like just a different person. You know, she's somebody who deviated from her cultural norms, and she always gave me the confidence to be just who I was, regardless of culture, regardless of tradition. You know, and I think like I got tattoos and earrings, and there's not too many Nigerian people that I know that got as many tattoos as me. You know, and I feel like I always had that confidence to just kind of do what I wanted because my mom told me, you know, she made me feel comfortable that, hey, yo, I'm gonna love you, right? And I want you to be happy. So the part of me that's just always willing to just kind of do my own thing comes from her, you know? And I think that trickles into how I deal, you know, how I've always dealt like with women, because we've all watched TV growing up, right? We watched how people were treating women. We watched how what the norm was, and at this point, it wasn't that long ago, so we could still be those types of people,
Right.
you know. But I feel like just us understanding, hey, we don't necessarily have to be what they're telling us to be. You know, we can be kind of dictate our own lane in our own situation, and that's exactly what my mom did for me. You know, so I think they both were just key and instrumental in molding me into who I am today.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, I what I gathered from all three of you is just balance. It's just back to that. Even you, Jalon, with a bonus, you know, parent, it's all still balance, which is super. It's blessed. You're blessed. You're so blessed. I mean, for the ones who grew up with one or the other, it's a lot of trial and error.
What was it for you?
Growing up with my mom, yeah, and I watched some one of Steve Harvey's episodes back in the day, and it was great because he had a bunch of single mothers on with their young boys, because I think the oldest, they were I didn't think they were in high school. And one woman stood up and she said, you know, Steve, what advice can you give single mothers who are raising a young black man? And, you know, like, what can I do without the father being around? And Steve said, there's nothing you can do. Just letting you know right now. But what you can do is you can surround him with other men, whether it's coworkers, uncles, sports, right? Other men who, because he's going to find a role model, regardless. Whether it's going to be a rapper, a gangbanger, a drug dealer, or a baseball coach, whatever it is, but he's going to gravitate towards a man when it comes to a certain point in time. So there's nothing you can do in particular for this department, but what you can do is provide someone with him. So for me, it was a lot of trial and error. I learned a lot from coaches, learned a lot from sports, and really it was just trial and error. You know what I mean? It's especially when it came to work ethic and discipline. You know, my mother, which, I mean, she would try, but it hits different when it comes from your father, when it comes from a man you respect and you look up to, right? That work ethic that your dad had, that's in you for life. For life. Yeah. Especially as you get older, it's probably in you more. You know what I mean? Because you know now that you're a grown man, you're like, damn, that's hard. That's real hard to do. So it's a lot of trial and error. So I think, and the reason why I brought that up is because I think a lot of women who are dating men who grew up without fathers, they're kind of lost. Kind of back to the Steve Harvey show thing. It's like, I don't know how to help guide you in certain ways, in certain departments. You know what I mean? So I think,
because there's, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say that's the unfortunate thing about anybody growing up with one.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of lose those.
You
Lose the other side.
You're missing out on something.
Yeah.
You're missing ingredients.
And then if if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong influence, right?
Yeah.
How many years, I don't want to say wasted, but you know what I mean? And then how many years you have to unlearn that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're with someone for 5 years and you got to learn and unlearn another 5 years, 10 of your life.
And that's scary.
It's scary,
That's
right?
scary.
You can implement the wrong habits, the wrong language, the wrong way to treat a woman.
What's scary and it's so whack is it almost takes longer to unlearn
Yeah.
than it does to learn. So like it may be longer than 10 years that you're talking about.
Right.
You know, you're trying to unlearn 5 years of a certain way.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Because like it's a part of your foundation. Like, and it's tough to get rid of a pillar.
Man.
You know, you might have accidentally started creating the wrong village. So everybody in your family, everybody that you chose to be around you,
it's just like
is not good for you.
Yeah.
facilitating that behavior.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're continue to perpetuate this bad behavior that you don't even look at as bad yet because you don't know.
You're not even aware of it.
You're not even aware of it.
Right. Let's talk about, that's a great point. Let's talk about that. Like, how many of us have been in a situation where life forced us to unlearn something? And it could be romantic relationship. It could be friends. It could be work. Whatever.
You know, lessons are either taught or bought. So you either gonna learn or you gonna have to pay to get out of it.
Right.
You know, so like I've been in plenty of those. Like again, I had a good village, so I got to see where I was doing wrong when I did wrong. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So you're just like, yo, this isn't right. But I've, especially in my late teens, early 20s. You know, I used to have a lot of. Like, I just didn't pay parking tickets. Like, just silly stuff. Didn't pay parking tickets. I didn't think registration was important. I didn't think insurance was important. If I had a car and I had keys, I could drive.
I'm moving.
I'm rolling.
Got wheels, man.
I'm moving. I make my own rules, man. You know, and then, like I said, lessons either taught or bought, and I had to buy myself out of that situation. You know, that's a lot of money. You know, but like I think that was one of those things. Nobody's ever just like sat down and talked to me and was like, hey, registration's important. Again, taxes. Taxes are important.
I got one. Credit.
Like,
right. I grew up saying that, like being taught like, yo, don't get no credit cards.
Don't get
Don't get a credit card. I have 3 different credit cards now to this day that I use faithfully. In fact, it's all that I use. You know, so like having to learn how credit should be used properly in the right way instead of using your cash all the time. That was a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Duke were roommates for 3 or 4 years, you know what I'm saying, of our 20s, you know, and I remember those are constant conversations we were having all the time, like just learning about the credit, you know. At this point, we were 2-3 years in the NFL, so we had been making money, and we're still learning, you know what I'm saying? So like, that was it for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Dog, just man, it's so many just terrible habits. Like, one thing about me, I was of the mindset that if it don't affect me, it don't matter. Right? Yeah. So I couldn't place myself in other people's shoes, right? And if they were going through something and it didn't affect me and my circle and my friends, then it wasn't my problem, and I couldn't sympathize with them. So a lot of times it took me, I don't know, I'm saying early 20s, even to like when I got in the league, it's like that's not my problem, and it made me just have a different type of appreciation for people in my immediate circle, people that I could help, people I could touch, right? And it just changed my perspective. But before, it was all about me and who I know and who can touch me in a very, very selfish way of thinking. And what it did is put so many limitations on me, right? Because then I started only associating myself with people that could help me or that were confined to my, you know, proximity. And it just put a cap on me. You know, like, and cap on people I could reach. So once I started learning how to be compassionate about other people's pain, I started opening up and finding more relationships and looking at the world through a different perspective.
Yeah, more of an open. So what about in romantic relatics? So this audience is, I think, 79% women. I'm sure they're 79%. All dying to know what's the one thing, if you could think about it, that you've had to unlearn when it comes to relationship that you had to relearn now?
Oh, huge one. And I think for most men in our early 20s, this is just how we kind of operate. I think the way that we live our life, somebody's just going to fit in there like a puzzle piece, and I could just be me. I could just be me. She's just gonna fit it like a puzzle piece. I don't gotta change nothing. Like, you know, you're gonna come into my world and it's gonna be my world. Like,
or none.
Or none. Or none.
No, but that's real, yeah.
And man, you know, I'm really appreciative for the relationship I'm in now because like she just teaches me so much. Just teaches me so much. Even and when I say teaches me real intentionality and just being very intentional with just even the words that you say to the people that you love. Right. You know, sometimes we feel like, oh, I just need to get this off right quick. And it's like, that's not appropriate to just say what you want to say, how you want to say it, when you want to say it. Like timing is everything. That person's emotions is everything. Where they're at that current time in the day. Tone, very
Right.
important. Like,
Yeah.
think through all of these things before you just come out and say something. Like, granted, things do need to get said, but think through it. You know, not only just like how, because this is what it took it to another level for me. Not only how would I receive it, that's not even important no more. How are they going to receive it? Because, like, I used to be like, well, if somebody said it to me like that, I wouldn't be tripping. But we talk about this all the time, you know, just coming from the sports world, you just say what you need to say. Hey, Duke, you blew the covers there, bro. Like, you need to get it together. I don't know where your head is at.
And that's acceptable.
And that's acceptable.
Yeah.
And we bring that into our relationship.
Right.
You cannot talk to your
And
partner
there's
like
no
that.
buffer.
No, there's no
Yeah.
buffer.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that buffer is because your target of your relationship is moving a little bit more than your target in sports. We know the first day we show up at training camp, we're here for a Super Bowl. We know that. It's clear. There's no confusion. I don't care how you get there. We're going to get there. I don't care if you in it for the money. I know you still want to win that Super Bowl. I don't care if you in it for the girls. I know you still
Yeah,
want to win the
yeah,
Super Bowl.
yeah.
I want to be the best player ever. Let's go get this ring.
Right.
When you're in a relationship, it's so much constant reassuring that you have to give that person to remind them we're in this together.
Right.
So even just the way that you may be speaking and the tone of your voice might make them feel like we're no longer in this together. So now I need to play defense because I don't think we're on the same team anymore.
Yeah.
And that right there was like something that I had to really unlearn. There's nobody that's going to just fit in your life like a puzzle piece. You don't even want that person for real because you're not going to get better.
Right. And even if they did fit at that particular time, if you've grown out of that, Jalon, now what? She's still there.
She's still there.
Right? What you got to?
Man, for me, I think it was learning how to truly be intimate.
Okay.
Right? Because with my partner, or like growing up in the house, I never saw my parents be intimate.
Okay.
So I always figured like intimacy was just behind closed doors.
In the bedroom, right?
In the bedroom.
Right.
Right?
Right. No, that's real, yeah.
So
I go crazy back there.
So I figure anytime you want to get intimate with your woman, you just take her behind closed doors. That's the only time that you could be intimate. But like now that I'm older, much wiser, much more experienced, I learned there's so many more levels of intimacy. You know, and so many more levels for you to connect with your partner.
Right.
You know, and those are things that I just didn't know. So I don't want to even say I had to unlearn. I didn't even know that. Yeah. You know, so and those are things that I learned by being with a partner. You know, it's like, oh no, you need to display intimacy in emotional settings, financial settings, romantic settings.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So much.
There's so many different levels of it, you know, and without the partner, I don't experience that. I don't understand that. I don't learn that.
Yeah, that's dope.
You know?
I agree with you. Yeah.
Man, so many things, bro.
Go ahead, take your
So
time.
many things, man. Okay, practice. All right, practice. All right, anything that you want to get good at, you got to practice. That includes your relationship. All right, we spent years and years and years of practicing to get to the NFL.
Right.
Years and years of practicing to become an elite, barber. Takes hella time and experience perfecting the craft. And if you don't do it, right, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Right. So you can't just expect to be who you are and how you came into this relationship and sustain the relationship. So I always preach, you got to practice throughout your relationship, right? So there's going to be moments where me and Chanel could get into an argument, right? And what I've done prior to that argument is going to dictate that argument.
Right.
I can't wait till I get into that argument to try to practice my tone of voice.
Right.
So that practice needs to come through small disputes about the AC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Small disputes about what we're watching on Netflix.
Right.
How I talk to my friends. I got to constantly be intentional about what I'm saying to everyone because everything's going to translate in my relationship, right? Practice is important.
Yeah.
What happens is a lot of people get into relationships and feel like they don't have to do no work.
Right.
But we all got to do the work because who we're dealing with is someone that's different from us, right? And we're emotional beings, right? So it's impossible for us to just come into the relationship. I'm handsome. I got money.
It's good enough.
I dress well.
Yeah.
Other women want me, and this is all I need.
Right.
Right? that ain't happening.
Right.
So for me, I had to unlearn just bringing who I am and saying, look what I have to offer. Right. And practice became a staple in my relationship. And I think that once I started being able to practice, I started getting better. I started being.
You saw the results.
The results started, like the relationship started changing. The argument started we started having healthy disagreements.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I think that without those hours of constantly just working on the craft, you don't have those things, you know? And sometimes you have to treat your relationship, I mean, if it makes sense, treat it like a game, right? Treat it like a game. Treat it like you want to get these shots up, right? You got to learn how to put your pride away. That takes practice, right? Because as men, we got egos. So if you never try to check your ego in the outside world or in small situations with your girl, what you think is gonna happen, right? And the first time you guys get in an argument, you're gonna shut down. Yeah, you can say, "No, all right, you did that. I'm doing this." Right? And when you guys feud, nothing happens. Right? Nothing gets solved. Yeah. So I feel like I had to unlearn that thinking where it's just like, "Yo, this is it. I'm nice. I can have any more I want." I had to unlearn that because it's not about that. It's about, okay, I chose this person. All right, now I got to learn how to do whatever I can to get better with this person, and I have to understand that, like, I have to have some humility to understand that, like, yo, like, who I am today is not enough to sustain this relationship. Right. I
was gonna say, even you just being, like you said, I'm nice, I can have whatever I want, right? That's not sustainability, though. No. That's going to get you what you want, and maybe what you want for the weekend or whatever. Yeah. But if you're talking long term, that's not going to do it. Yeah. The other thing I picked up from what you were saying is how you do anything is how you do everything. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. So when it comes to these little micro practice moments, take them like it's the game. Yeah. Like it's the actual game, because it will show up in other areas. And then speaking of ego, one thing I recently learned in therapy was, he's like, look, your ego can be used in good ways. Like let's not just give ego a negative, component to it. Like it could be used in positive ways. He said, but the one area of your life where your ego is never going to be needed, I don't care what hypothetical or what scenario you can possibly think of, the answer is still no. He said the one arena your ego is never needed is in your relationship.
Well, I think they say that it's hard for the ego to live in a space where love is.
That's deep.
There you go.
Like if love is truly,
it's no ego.
There is no ego.
Right.
I did hear that before.
That's dope.
There is no ego.
Exactly.
My fiance tells me that all the time.
It's hard though, ain't it?
It's hard.
It's so hard. Well, it's hard, and why is it hard?
You gotta shed yourself.
But also because look at what we've been conditioned to, especially as athletes.
Right.
Our ego got you in the league.
Yep.
Right. Our egos got us on the team. Our egos got us our accolades.
Yep.
So it's like, to just say that's not needed here, you're like, huh? What?
Right. I don't got nothing.
What now? You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to times of conflict.
Yep.
Where we can isolate and shut down. And okay, fine, it's me against you then. Yep. Like an athlete.
Yes.
Right? If I'm talking trash to you, would you play wide receiver? Corner. Okay, I'm a wide receiver.
Yep.
I'm talking trash to you all day. Yep. That's going to get me motivated.
Yep.
And it's going to get you motivated.
Yep.
Not my woman, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it takes that buffer, like we talked about, right? To kind of dismantle that ego and to be okay with that in this arena.
Man, I read a quote today, and I just wanted to share because it felt like a good time. I thought about it as Duke was speaking, and then you said results, and then he said results.
Perfect.
And the quote was, don't get mad at the results you didn't get from the work you didn't
do.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought that shit was amazing when I read that today.
Spot on.
It's so real, bro. We have to put ourselves to the work. We have to go to practice, and if we don't, we can't get mad at ourselves for not getting better, for not putting the work in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's very important.
That's a great quote, because it ties into what each one of us said.
Man.
Yeah. Each one of us said, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's from intimacy, put in the work, and understanding like there's more to just the physical part of intimacy, right? When it comes to just not being like, you gotta give it the program. You know what I mean? Like that's just ignorance, right? Yeah. And then when it comes to understanding, like everything that you do is practice, that's all comes down to putting in the work.
Yeah.
So let me ask, why do you think, aside from the ego, right? Because that's the obvious answer, but why do we think men have a hard time putting in the work when it comes to romantic relationships? I mean, we're all sitting here willing to put the work in, but for the ones who aren't, and for the women who are with these men,
or the days we don't want to put the work in.
Right. There you go.
That's a better.
There you go.
It's
Yeah, let's go with that.
You know, it's still because you get to the point to where you just be feeling like, man, do I want to have to be the star of the team again? Like, and you and your ego starts showing up again, and it honestly, you know, I think it's like it's two of me. It's like who I really want to be, and then it's like who I currently am at that day.
Right.
And like who I really want to be always has to show up if I want the result to really happen. Because, you know, and we talk about this a lot, but I feel like as men, we feel like at times it's okay to be a convenient leader. And like leadership hurts. Leadership is tough. Leadership looks like struggle. And leadership isn't always the guy who's holding up the trophy and have the glory at the end. Like leadership is pulling your partner along sometime, and our leadership is sometimes shedding up. You know, letting your partner get off what they need to get off, and just like, you know what, they need that more than I need it.
Right.
Like they need that more than I need it. So, you know, like when you don't want to do the work as a man, I'm just speaking to men right now, the 21% of you guys. As a man, when you don't want to do the work, remember that's a part of the leadership. Like being a man is a part of the leadership. So like, you know, shutting down isn't a leadership quality. That's not a quality that a leader possesses, is shutting down, because we still got to keep this train moving. So however the train got to keep moving, whatever you got to do to keep that train moving, you have to do. You know, and to look to your partner and just be like, well, I want you to be the bigger person today because this is how I feel like acting. And that happens. And that happens, but you can't do that. You know, you can't, as a man, you can't do that.
No. Yeah.
I think it's possible that some of those men just don't have the true desire, the burning desire to be great.
Yeah.
Right? When you have a burning desire to be great, like you don't just want it in one area of your life. You're searching for greatness in all aspects of your life, from your relationships, from your finances, to your just personal life, everything, traveling, all of that, family, everything, you know? So I think if they had a bigger desire, it wouldn't be hard, or it wouldn't be an issue for them to do those things, to put in the work. But if you've never seen greatness, you don't know what it looks like, you don't have any role models, you don't have any positive influences in your life, any pillars that you could look to that you're like, yo, that's what I want to model my life after. And there's unfortunately, there's a lot of kids in our community who don't have that.
Right.
You know, then that's what's going to happen. You know, and it takes falling into circles like these, you know, for you to be inspired to like want that greatness in every aspect of your life. You know, and if you don't have that, then you're kind of just going to be floating, unfortunately, until you get, you know, kicked in the ass one time, you know?
Yeah, I think that I don't know if it's the fact that men don't want to put the work in. I think that a lot of people just aren't even just aware of what they're supposed to be doing. You know, I really believe that. You know, I think it like I said, man, it'd be easy for us to just be socialized and think this is how we're supposed to act. Right. Especially when we're young, because we're influenced easily. Yeah. So all the celebrities on TV, all the athletes or the people that we look to are acting a certain way. That's how we're gonna act, right? So what it is, it's not enough people like us, right, in front of these cameras, on these mics, you know, screaming, "Hey yo!" Like, not saying, "Hey, this is how you supposed to act," but like, "Hey, just check out our story." Check out our story, because we ain't gonna tell people how to act, because everyone's at different phases in their life, and you want, you know, young men to kind of go through their experiences, learn how to do things. But I feel like a lot of people just aren't aware. You know, and I think that it's on people like us to do a better job of it, right? It's not making that doesn't what's the word I'm looking for?
Exemplify.
Is it exemplify?
Yeah.
I guess, but that doesn't
showcase.
It doesn't excuse. It doesn't excuse. Yeah.
That doesn't excuse. That doesn't excuse. You know, certain men from acting a certain way, but that does give us a different perspective. You know, it's just like, hey, a lot of guys don't know. You know, so like all the women that are watching this, man, kind of cut some guys some slack sometimes, man. Cut some guys some slack.
Well, that actually leads me to the next part of what are some of the pressures
of men
for men today, right, in this society. Jalon, you touched on earlier, like gender roles, right? Now they're switching. But before all that, too, to your point, Duke, I gave you this actually, funny enough, last time you were on. Direction is more important than speed.
Yep.
We don't know.
Yep.
I got all this I want, even if the person wants it, oh, right, I want to be better, I want to change, but how do I start?
do it? Yeah.
And then how do I maintain this when I don't feel like putting in the work one day, when I fall off, when I make a mistake, because you will, having those expectations. But the direction, the how is almost as important as maybe even the want, right? Because that's the light at the end of the tunnel. But anyways, so.
Got to seek counsel.
Yes.
Got to seek counsel.
Yes. So when it comes to the pressures of a man, okay. So what comes to mind when I say
Pressure?
that? Yeah.
Well, there's an obvious pressure to just have it figured out, and be problem solvers.
Right.
I think that's an obvious answer, and I think what that does is it makes men feel like they always got to do something, even though they don't know what to do. Right, and it makes it very hard for us to admit that we kind of don't know. We don't have the answer. you know, and I feel like if you get a lot of men that are trying to do it but don't know what to do, it kind of does a disservice to everyone,
Right,
and I think a lot of men, including myself, have been, not the most confident in saying, like, I really don't know what to do because I don't want to appear like I don't have it together.
That's hard.
And I feel like that's a pressure. Obviously, the pressure to protect, and make sure everything is secure for everyone in your family, your woman, all right, your kids if you have kids, and women have a ton of pressures too. But it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah.
I would say so it comes from social media a little bit too. Like the immediate pressure or the pressure to be uber successful, like young and immediately, I think is an enormous amount of pressure. Like when I look, I'm in my 30s, right? And I've done pretty well for myself thus far, right? But I couldn't imagine being 18 and looking at all these things and from the outside looking in, it seems like everybody, like you said, it seems like everybody got it figured out.
Yeah.
So everybody is on Instagram, and especially if you're a younger influence, everyone's on Instagram with cash. Everyone's on Instagram in a fly car. Like, damn, if I don't have any of that, how do I compete?
Yeah.
So I would say like social has a lot to do with it today too. Just pressures of being a man, because it's so easy to just look at people that seem successful, or not people, men that seem successful on Instagram and being like, damn, man, well, I don't got what he got, And I'm sure we're all victim of doing that in some capacity. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I got to get more cracking.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I got to make more money. I literally tell myself this all the time. I'm looking at people, I'm like, yo, I got to make more money. And that's like just a small financial pressure. It's not like overly bearing on me, but it's still pressure.
Still there,
It's still pressure.
Yeah.
That shit is still pressure. It's still
and
real.
I would say it can affect like it can affect your behavior or how you
Absolutely.
attack certain things.
Well,
right?
your confidence. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think what you said, Duke, was something that is the catalyst to like the pressure of, as being a man, you're a protector, you're a provider, and you always have it figured out. Air quotes for the listeners. You always have it figured out. So when something comes up, you just feel like you have to act on it.
Yeah.
You just feel like you have to just do something. And, that may not necessarily be the right direction that you're going in. You're moving fast, but not in the right direction.
Right.
You're going nowhere.
You're creating a bigger problem. And it's just like, like back in the day when we was young, and it would showcase like things that men did. And it would always show a father who was driving with his family, and he'd be looking at the map, and his wife would be like, babe, I think we should ask somebody.
He's like, I
got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Because that ego continues to show up. Just like as a man, it's like, yo, like if anybody's gonna like steer my family in a direction, it's gonna be me. I don't care if it's the right way or the wrong way.
Right.
I've chosen a direction.
Because I want to figure it out.
I'm sticking to it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
And
That's real.
And one of I think it's a great quality, but it also can hinder you. And that's one of the things that sucks about being really, really good at something is when you do make your decision and you make it the right way, your woman or whoever looks to you and is just like, man, I love that you pick something and you do it.
Yeah.
So now you feel like, oh, I just need to pick something.
yes,
I just need to make a
And I
choice.
need to do it. I just need to make a choice.
Right.
I need to pick something and I need to do it.
Right,
And,
right.
I do want to say before we even get out of here, I don't know how much time we have. I do want to tell you, man, I really appreciate you understanding the responsibility of your voice and like doing things like this because it is so many men that are our age and, just listening. They're following because they want
to learn.
They want to learn, and, I've definitely been a victim of, trying to be a problem solver and just trying to figure it out. And like, I'm sure you've tried to do that with your woman and she was just like, I just want you to listen. Like, I don't even need you to fix it right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I just want you to listen.
Right,
being able to figure out, it's like driving a stick shift. Like being able to figure out how much
Goes back to balance.
How much of that clutch that I need to do before I put it on the gas.
Timing.
And figuring out that timing. And you can only figure that out by just being in those situations as often as possible, being around other people who are in those situations.
Yeah.
Like, we just had an episode recently speaking about what it looks like to be friends and just growing up. And, if you were a single dude who was in a club every single week, we probably wouldn't be doing the show.
Right.
But you are on the same track that we're trying to get to where
on your
you
track.
at. You're
Seriously.
married, and you had, like you said, you've had to unlearn a lot of things, and you're married, and, your relationship, and you're working, and you're doing things like this to show, like, yo, I'm trying to get better. I want to be great.
Right.
So it's really just working at this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's no days off in relationships, bro.
No.
Not even Sundays.
Not even Sundays.
Yeah.
Probably the hardest working day. Shit.
I appreciate you saying that, Jalon. I mean, that's why I wanted you guys to come on. When I hit Duke, I was like, look, there's men out here who need us, who need that direction, right? And who needs the proper direction. I'll say that. When it comes to solutions, and we can end with this, there's a book by Brene Brown called The Gifts of Imperfection. What I took away from that book mainly was men are taught, conditioned, the narrative, the upbringing, everything is to be the fixers or to be the one that we're gonna do this. I said we're gonna go here, right? And when we don't know, we don't even know how to say I don't know. We don't even know how to say can you help me?
Yeah.
Right? Because it looks like we failed. Yeah. It looks like we didn't live up to what I said as my standard. Yeah. And she was talking about how men are so conditioned to fix and to be solution-based people, human beings. What I love to do is I see a problem and I love to fix it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But as I learned in my marriage, sometimes understanding is the solution. Mm-hmm. Sometimes listening sometimes shutting up is the solution, right? Mm-hmm. You know how hard it is to be like, but why? Because no, just understanding is the solution today, and being okay with that. Yeah. And when I read that, I was like, that's spot on. Yeah. Most men are solution-driven people.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I just, it's important to mention that. I think a lot of men are like, I don't know what to do, so I'm no good here. Yeah. Right? Like if I can't provide financially, what else can I provide? Right. If I can't put it down in the bedroom intimacy-wise, what else can I provide? Right. There's so much more that we need, let alone want to do in relationships.
Those thoughts don't come from anywhere, though, right? Like, we grew up in a world that rewards those men.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Those men get rewarded.
Yeah.
We see that.
Yep.
That's what we want to emulate. So it doesn't come from anywhere.
That's true.
Out of nowhere, right? So I think, yes, we sit up here and talk about what men need to do, right? But it definitely requires, effort from men and women.
Right.
Right. Because nothing comes from anywhere.
Right.
But I know, you was going to say something.
Yeah,
right?
my bad.
I lost it. So
okay.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
That was just so good.
That's real though.
I know, Justin, you was we were kind of talking about just the way the evolution of the man now.
Yeah.
I think the evolution of the man, we are like in a really, really, really transcendent part of men right now, to where we are not as simple as we once were.
Right.
And because we are beginning to get more complex, complex things require complex answers.
Right.
So people want to know more.
In complex conversations.
Right? Because now it's like, it's like everyone's woman has an opportunity to make more, you know, more money than it. So it's like, I think now, like men outside of that, and one thing I've been seeing a lot is because a man doesn't feel like you said, he can provide financially, he doesn't have a place. And I think that's really where the evolution comes in, is being able to get those other tools to showcase your value as a man. Because a lot of men, they probably just don't know how to articulate themselves, but they just feel useless.
Right.
You know, you feel useless. Like, man, she's really successful. I don't think I can really play a part in her life.
So what is a man supposed to do? Because I actually remember what I was going to ask.
Oh, yeah.
And this kind of ties into, like, what does that man do? Like, when you should listen and be understanding and you're biting your tongue, who do you get that off to? Do you just hold on to that, right? That moment or whatever that you were trying to say that you decided not to let off? You know, like,
so I think a lot has to do with, like, I've learned in my marriage, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about what is right or wrong for this marriage. Yeah. So if there is a solution that comes of, whether it's mine, hers, both of ours, I'm down. If it works for us, I don't care who the hell came up with it. It works, and I'm cool with that. So I think to your question, though, it's like, is it even necessary to get it off? And I'm asking myself, why do I feel the need to get it off? Like, 'cause it's not even about her at that point. There's a whole underlining thing going on where I haven't worked in 3 weeks because, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or like I fell out with my boy, or whatever the case is, right? I'm just taking out on this scenario. So I'm asking myself that question. Does it have anything to do with her? And also, even if I let it off, what good is that going to do for me?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So wait, like, how does a man feel like he could be there for a woman if the woman is so successful? Like, what are some things? Like, what can I do?
I'm glad you asked. Right.
Right.
You've been in
Complex
therapy.
question. We need complex answers.
Watch this. I'm gonna let you answer this.
Oh, hey, this therapy stuff right here,
You've
bro.
been in therapy, right?
Yep. Sure.
How many levels of intimacy did your therapist tell you about?
6.
6. Financial is one of them, right?
Yep.
Cool. So therefore, that's 1 out of 6.
Oh, we got some other.
So
Right.
So now
Okay.
you have 5 other areas now that you can work with. So now if you're weak in those areas, that's on you. That's not a her thing. So we can't never look at her and be like, you make too much money. It's nowhere for me here. That's always, you're speaking from here.
Right.
Oof.
Yeah.
Saying that with your chest.
You're saying that with your chest to you. You're not talking to her.
That's real.
She's actually more valuable. She can help this as a team. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want you on my team because you be putting up 40 a night.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I think the insecurity comes from even if those other 5 levels I was great in, right? But those 5 other levels are things that people can't see.
Yeah.
The perception is.
Give me something tangible.
The perception. Men care about perception as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The perception is that he's not taking care of home.
Yep.
But that stems from ego.
It does. But I'm saying, though, it's still a fact, right? The perception is still a fact.
It's crazy because we always say perception. Like, what is perception? Because do we really go home like, he's not bringing it in?
Nah,
Never.
never.
He's not handling home.
Never.
Like, so
But
are we really having those conversations?
Yeah, but also a lot of it is tied to traditional values.
Yes.
Right. So we still got a long way to go before we break free from that.
Yeah.
Because our significance and our value, a lot of it is tied into like not just financially, but protection and just being stable and you know, I should be the one to
Like, what protection
make
look like
decisions.
financially?
Yeah. All those things, you know. And if I'm not able to do that, then it's going to affect, who I am, right? And it's not just a financial thing, but it's more. I should say that it's not just as long as you and I know what's going on, we good.
I'm not saying be a stay at home though.
No.
We ain't saying that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Never.
I'm just saying if she's making 220,
she getting 40 a night and you getting 25.
Yeah,
Right. You winning.
Yeah.
You still winning.
Yeah.
You guys are still winning. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, as a man, you should be able to sustain the roof over your head anyway.
Right.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum, you should be able to sustain the roof over your head.
Yeah.
And if you could do that, then I don't feel like you should feel less than.
So
For everyone though who doesn't know the 6 levels, so we didn't mention 1. What's the other 5?
Oh, so you got financial, emotional,
Physical,
spiritual,
mental.
is it psychological?
That might be mental.
This might be mental. Yeah. Because I don't even know.
Maybe just
You said
feel.
Yeah, it said
5.
emotional.
I think it's 5.
Maybe just 5.
It sounds like 5.
Maybe
Okay,
5.
that's solid.
I may have
Sound
misquoted.
like
Yeah,
Maybe
that's solid.
5. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's dope because I think a lot of men, they just think of the one.
Yeah.
Which is financial.
The one that's crazy is, men don't even think about financial intimacy.
Go ahead.
Financial
Go ahead,
intimacy.
Put it on.
Men don't even think about financial intimacy.
Okay.
Like, think about 90% of men is not opening their bank account and saying, hey, baby, come sit down. Let me show you what I have. So when we make decisions, you understand why I'm making these type of decisions. Men not doing that. Men not letting women see they finances. Hey, babe, I just want you to know I'm invested in these stocks, and this is the reason why I can't pull money out, or whatever it is. Men not having those
Married men, though, I think are different.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when do you think it's time to do that?
Because I was going to
I'm engaged, so those conversations are starting to happen in our house.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
We're
right.
getting closer to becoming one.
Right.
So I guess it's timing.
Time.
Timing.
Because I was thinking, I was like, that's not my household. But I'm married now, so it is different. But when I was single and or just in relationships, I didn't have to.
You don't have to.
I'd have to. But now when it's two of us, right? Now we have to have these conversations.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I think a lot of it is I guess timing. I guess to sum it up, a lot of it is timing. Well, fellas, man, I'm full of gratitude, man. I really appreciate y'all. It was it's an honor, and again, it helps to have these conversations with us, but it's about everyone listening and watching.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I hope this direction provided a lot.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, cool, good.
Yeah,
I appreciate
good
it.
conversation,
I
bro.
appreciate it. Yeah. So thanks for coming on, and
Yeah, thanks for having us, bro.
yeah.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.